Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here. It is the Earthmaster on this end on this Monday night, about 6:30 p.m. here, California time, Monday night, February 19th, 2024. Just coming back from a little bit of storm chasing today. A little disappointment here in California. We'll get to that here at the end of the earthquake update video. First, activity. It looks like some movement over here across the Java Trench, and also a three-pointer coming in down there across the New Zealand area, maybe the Kermadec Trench area. They have been seeing quite a bit of deeper activity down here. I'm starting to wonder if we might see some larger scale event take place here soon, just kind of a cluster. And that's only in the last few hours. We have seen some elevated activity out here over the last week or so, so we'll continue to watch that. We'll check on that here in just a second. Covering the West Coast activity out here, of course, a lot of rain. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of rain, but the severe weather potential did not pan out there. What do we got? 1.5 here across the Grapevine, south of Bakersfield area. Aside from that, very minimal earthquake activity today here across the state of California. Mostly smaller microquake movement. And I don't even know if we've seen anything above a 2.5. Well, maybe we did last night, a 2.9 here along the coast range. Aside from that, all small microquake activity. Across the Intermountain West region, well, there's not a whole lot going on here, aside from one little earthquake, one lonesome quake here near Stanley, Idaho, off the Sawtooth Fault System here, a little 2.2, just after midnight. Now, we did see a little bit of earthquake activity out here across the Yellowstone area. This is a Yellowstone overview. This movement was earlier this morning, or I take that back, early this morning, super early this morning. I didn't get a chance to do an update this morning because I was out storm chasing fairly early. That's kind of why I'm covering it right now. But we did see a little spitter-spatter event here of earthquake activity there at Yellowstone National Park. Late last night, early this morning, that did show up across numerous seismograph stations here across the area. Now, those earthquakes are all probably under the 2.0 threshold. USGS not reporting on them. They probably will tomorrow. Got to remember, today is a holiday, so the USGS out of the office. They'll cover that tomorrow. I believe in them. All right, outside of Midland here in Big Spring area, 2.8 coming in near Stanton, Texas. Looks like some oil fields out there. What do you guys say? Quite a bit. Look at the satellite view here across this area of Texas. No doubt, that is a lot of oil fields. If you've ever driven out here, oh goodness, there's miles and miles and thousands upon thousands upon thousands of oil fields out here, and these wastewater disposal ponds associated with them. So this earthquake occurring very, very close here to one of those wastewater disposal ponds. All right, backing out here, see what we got with the map. Not for sure what's going on there. There we go. Aside from that, Oklahoma, seen a little bit of activity earlier. One little lonesome earthquake from last night around the New Madrid seismic zone, although it's a little north here. But still a little one-pointer from last night. Looking at the activity up north here across the Alaska region, Anchorage seen some activity there near Hope, Alaska. That earthquake coming in early this morning, about 11 o'clock or so for a 3.3. Not a huge earthquake, but definitely seen a little bit of activity up here recently across the Alaska area. Most of our movement today looks like it's been confined here to the roughly the South America region here. A little bit of activity stirring up here across the Puerto Rico area as well. We'll check that out here in just a second. 4.6 coming in right now to the Colombia area. Looks like fairly deep here into the, looks like maybe the portion of the Colombian Trench here. 162 kilometers for that four-pointer. Some activity also downstream here. Now, this earthquake, kind of an odd one. It is off of the plate boundary here between the Nazca plate here and the Cocos plate that sits up north here. Don't really see a whole lot of earthquake activity out here. Let me see what we got for historical data. Doesn't look like a lot. I know, because I looked at these maps for many years and day in, day out, many hours studying them, and it's not too often do we see earthquake activity out there, specifically off the plate boundary. So looks like a little bit of movement stirring up out here around the region, and that does show here broadly over across the area. Even on the Earthquake 3D program here, we could see Quite a bit of movement within the area. Looks like some activity further south here along the Pruchili Trench. Overall elevated activity here across the region in the last 24 hours. And around the Puerto Rico area, still getting a little swarming going on here around the Mona Seamount area. A couple earthquakes there from earlier this morning and also the afternoon time period. Nothing big coming up, or nothing big right now, but definitely with this activity stirring up here around the plate boundary to the west. Well, what does go on here does have an effect on the Caribbean plate, so we'll keep that in mind for some further movement. Down here across the Kermadec Trench, you would think that it's awfully quiet, right? With only one lonesome earthquake. That's a pretty deep one, though. 346 kilometers there for that 4.7 coming in earlier this morning. But we are seeing a little bit of elevated activity out here in the deeper regions of the Kermadec Trench and also underneath North Island area. So let's go over here and check out the GeoNet servers from the New Zealand site here and see what's going on. 5 hours ago, we got a 3.2 South Island area just outside of the Christchurch area. That's going to be the felt reports. Far as the unfelt or the unnoticeable earthquakes, quite a few of them. But I'm looking for these deeper quakes out here underneath the North Island area that could be pointing towards maybe some potential further movement there in the area. Here's a fairly deep one, 4.2, 7 hours ago into the Kermadec Trench. And there's a fairly deep one way south, though. That's a little odd one. Oh, there we go, 5 kilometers. I was going to say 120 kilometers. No, that'd be kind of odd in that area. But yeah, aside from that, definitely looks like there's a handful of earthquakes out here in the area. Let's see. Yeah, there's that super deep one there, 4.6. So we'll continue to watch this. Like I said, over the past week or so, we've seen some elevated activity out here. Now, do we have a new one coming in right now? Looks like we do. Even as we speak, we have a 3-pointer coming into this area, 124 kilometers deep right now. That looks like that's along the Kermadec Trench or just barely into the underneath the North Island area. So we got to watch that. That's the Hikurangi subduction zone that sits offshore there of the North Island. And the deeper quake activity obviously could mean that we could be looking at some further activity upscale, upstream. Let's check out the drums here across the area, just get a quick view of it, see what's going on as far as any elevated movement goes. Some of those deeper quakes we're not going to really notice here across the graph. Aside from that, I'm really not seeing anything localized there across the area in terms of elevated activity at the surface level, but we'll continue to watch that. There across the area, Papua New Guinea, handful of smaller quakes there, 4 and 5s kicking off here. Hawaii's been kind of quiet here. Look at that, only 9 earthquakes in the last 24 hours. I find that awfully odd. So let's go over and check out the seismograph stations here and see what's going on there across the area. The volcano is not erupting. This is the latest map here from the USGS volcano site on Kilauea Volcano on the Big Island. A look at the seismograph stations here. Well, it pretty much confirms that there's not a whole lot of earthquake activity out here. There's some very small microquakes, but a look at that graph shows us that there's not a whole lot going on, at least specifically in that area. And this station as well. So obviously things are kind of quiet out there across the area. Look at the tilt meter here at the summit region. Shows a little bit of up and down here over the last couple days. Nothing major. Still seeing fairly neutral conditions out there compared to when we seen that major displacement of magma from the summit off to the southwest rift zone, where it's currently sitting, I believe, or somewhere just south of there. There was a lot of magma that was displaced there underneath the surface. Continue to check back on that. If anything changes, we'll definitely report on it. Let's see here. One earthquake down in the South Sandwich Trench from early this morning, it looks like, about 10 o'clock my time. Aside from that, Iceland. Anything going on up there in Iceland area? A little bit of movement. Got about 19 earthquakes here in the last 12 hours. Some of it down here or over here across the rift zone. As far as the Grindavik area goes, doesn't look like we're seeing too much earthquake activity currently taking place there. I know we're still getting elevated in terms of the magma accumulation underneath the area. So let's go ahead and take a look at the site here that monitors the movement. Just real quick, trying to find the Grindavik area. That's going to be the station right here, a couple of them, but we'll use this one. And just kind of looks like we're leveling out here a little bit. These are the last 8-hour run times, so a little bit of leveling off going on. It's hard to say exactly what's going to happen, if we're going to see about a 30-day period before another eruption or not. I'm really not quite all that impressed with this recent run up in terms of inflation, so I think it may be, at least looking at this right now, maybe a little bit longer than 30 days, unless, and I keep saying that, I said it before the last eruptive activity, unless we see further separation up here of the plates. That would obviously introduce further magma into the system from below across these rift zones, divergent zones there in Iceland. And right now we haven't really seen anything going on out there in terms of any moderate movement. So we'll wait for that, and then we'll check back on things. Space weather activity, and then we'll get into weather here. Pretty much flatlining here. We're seeing a little bit of sea flare activity, it looks like, from let's see, maybe this region over here, or possibly this area on the western limb showing a little bit of flaring going on. But overall, it looks as though we're entering into a little quiet period. Now, there is a massive sunspot region, 3590. We do have a decent view of it right now. I got my hopes up for it, but every time I do that, these things disappear and turn into nothingness. So this area we'll watch pretty closely. It is going to be rotating into view here in the coming days. It is big, definitely. It's not throwing off a whole lot of flaring currently, but I do see that getting elevated here in the days ahead. Here's the visible disk showing that massive sunspot region there, 3590. It's got a fairly decent complex core. This one right here showing it as a beta class. Not for sure when this was updated, but 3590, where is it? 3590 right here, yeah. Yeah, just showing this as a beta class magnetic structure, but it does look like it's getting a little bit more complexity going on there, so that could get an upgrade. Overall, not seeing a whole lot of flaring threat or auroras in the forecast. Right now, 99% chance for a C flare, M flare at 30, X flare around 5% chance or so. All right, today's weather, folks, was I said it when I was live streaming. It was pretty much a dud out here for California. We've seen a lot of rain. We had one tornado warning up here outside of Chico, and maybe a couple severe thunderstorm warnings up here in the Chico area as well. The area around Sacramento and southward, I don't think they've seen anything. Maybe some rain, but we also had some decent storms down around Bakersfield area south of there that was out of the alert area in terms of the severe weather potential. That really kicked up. So something happened today. I think it was potentially the position of the low pressure, or maybe the strength of it, because it didn't go as planned. That's the best wording that I can use in that. The current day threat, you can see they dropped this like a rock. They're only showing maybe some marginal potential out here, and that's probably just to keep it, just to cover it. But I didn't see anything today. I was out there all morning, all afternoon. I was out just around the little town of Grimes, just south of Colusa, and all the weather models were pointing towards a major supercell development. But those cells came over, but they only produced some rain, and I think it was due to the lack of sufficient surface heating out here. We didn't really quite get as warm as we should have. We didn't have enough clear skies, and it pretty much just killed itself off in a way. If you really think about the cooler air being introduced into the system with all this rain, and it pretty much died off. Now, we did have a couple reports of some wind way down south. It looks like here near Fresno, and one up in Humboldt County. Trees down, and it looks like maybe a large tree branch. So that's it for your storm reports. I know a lot of big names came out here to California to chase, and man, were they in a surprise. California can be a hard state to chase, even with this elevated risk. If things don't work out, in terms of the complex nature of all the ingredients needed to produce these supercells, they won't work out. And today was one of those. It was fun getting out, seeing some wind and clouds, but I can pretty much see that any day. I was looking for some twisting water vapor, but that did not happen, folks. So looking at the current Storm Prediction Center, that's it right there, low marginal risk. Far as tomorrow goes, now I'm going to turn off the counties here. That's just a little annoying. Really not a whole lot of severe weather. It just looks like mainly some thunderstorm activity. Now that area of low pressure is off the kind of up there off the coast of Northern California, Oregon area. Like I say, I don't know what happened today. It's got to do with the instability, though. Low pressure, we had the correct flow, lots of moisture, not sufficient heating. There it is, beautiful system. And that is going to scoot further up north and, possibly provide some thunderstorms back behind it. Let me show you guys the weather model out here. These weather models from Tropical Tidbits and Pivotal Weather, all of them are showing discrete supercells growing, but man, I did not see anything discrete out there today. So the run up here, there's some of those storms that were popping up there outside of Chico. I don't even know if it was a confirmed tornado that triggered the tornado warning there. It was up above the Bangor area, up above Oroville, and I think it was due to rotation on radar, indicated rotation. That's why the National Weather Service issued it. But yeah, just kind of a little crazy. One tornado warning and a couple severe weather threats, but I don't even know if any of it reached a severe level today like it was expected. So as we head into the day, Tuesday, I'm just going to bring up the... let's go back here real quick. Just restart this. Are we live? Oh, I guess we are. Okay. I was waiting for that page to load, but it's just been a long day. Been kind of a long day, waiting on nothing. So low pressure going to spin off the coast. It's going to funnel in a little bit of moisture here across the next day or so. Really not looking at anything major going on. Maybe there's a system spinning off the coast. You guys see that as we head into next weekend, but it doesn't quite look like it's as we head into early next week, maybe to bring a little bit further rain and some snow. But goodness, when I was gone here, my house here just outside of Chico, we got I'm wanting to say well over 2 inches of rainfall today. We just had a line of decent heavy precipitation over us while I was gone, and came back to a lot of flooding here around the area, and my rain gauge way up there. So definitely seen a lot of rain with this system, and we could use a day or two to dry out, but it does look like we're going to get back into some wetter weather as we head into March as well, and that includes Southern California. So either way, things like this happen. They definitely they're hard to key up in terms of nailing down the forecast, so to speak. Here's a current radar out here. You got a little bit of thunderstorm activity up around Placerville, but you can see most of the valleys quiet and done. A little bit of rain around the Sacramento area as well. Still seeing some convective activity offshore. This is going to come in tonight, and it could stir up some thunderstorm activity, but as far as that big time severe weather threat, that did not happen. Maybe next time, right? All right, folks, I'm out of here. Again, thanks for tuning in earlier in the day to watch the live stream. I was hoping that I could provide a little bit better show. in terms of the severe weather potential, but I had, I worked with what I had, and unfortunately, it didn't play out like I wanted it to. So we'll catch you guys back here a little bit later. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your holiday. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow.